Welcome to the second week installment of Pigskin Postweek. I'm your host, Uncle Fester. Let's recap all the NFL action from around the league. The week's first game was a true David versus Goliath, as Unnamed goes heads up with Valor Margulis. Thursday night kicked off with the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Jalen Hurts did what Jalen Hurts does, rushing in for 2 scores, including another through the air as he gains over 25 points, giving Valor an early lead going into Sunday. This performance also ends up collecting the $20 payout for most quarterback points. With the double zeros from a week ago, both Drake London and T. Higgins each had a solid showing for Unnamed, combining for over 40 points. The Falcons carved through Green Bay's defense in the fourth quarter and paved for a comeback victory. London had 6 catches on 8 targets for 67 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins also stole the show, securing 8 of 12 for 89 yards and 2 scores. Both squads left a lot of points on their bench, though, as Margulis falls to 0-2, 105-112. Beers and Pollard are the next contestants, as this one could have been decided by their running backs. Waukee Stevenson, Algier, and James Cook were no match to Bijan, Walker, and Tony Pollard, as Pollard's trio combines for nearly 55 to Beers' 37. Once again, both teams did leave a few startable players on the bench, but either way the results would have remained the same, as Beers drops to 500 after putting up a season high in Week 1. He only musters 70 points this week to Pollard's 112. The Boss and Massage season meet for the first time, and it was all massage in this one. So far so good with McCaffrey, as he's been averaging over 20 points a game. Devonta Smith snags in 4 of 5 for 131 and a touchdown, and Jared Goff airmails 3 touchdowns for 323 yards with 1 interception. The Boss gets a solid outing from the Dallas defense again as they stomp on the Jets. Kelsey makes his return and finds the end zone, and Christian Kirk also hauls in 11 of 14 for over 100 yards, but it wasn't enough as the Boss loses 99-123. Preenus Pie and Handicap face off, and yet again the wheels fall off for Handicap. The Bengals have yet to gain any momentum going forward, as Jamar Chase is the dud in Handy's receiving corps. CeeDee Lamb lights up for 20 with 11 receptions and just shy of 150 yards. Deebo Samuel locks in his number 19, and he does it through the air with 6 catches and 63 yards, and also on the ground with a rushing score. None of this mattered, as Preenus Pie's Tampa Bay Buccaneer-fueled offense takes the victory 122-89. It did, however, come at a cost, as Nick Chubb won't be taking another snap for the remainder of the season. Ruled out by an injury similar to one he suffered in 2015, this was a detrimental blow to the Cleveland Browns offense. An offense that was clearly non-existent against a stout Pittsburgh Steelers front 7, which leads us to our 5th and final matchup between Doggin and Pickens. Steel Reserve gets an early cushion from Hawkinson's 22, but that dwindled fast as Keenan Allen was simply lights out for Raw Doggin this week. He puts up 28 points on 8 catches for 111 yards and 2 scores. Luckily for Steel, some of that was a wash, as he did have Justin Herbert throwing the rock. This one looked to be over, as heading into Monday night, Steel was trailing by 32, with only Harris, Pickens, and Pittsburgh's defense going up against Raw Doggin's last remaining player, Miles Sanders. This one got off to an early start, as Steelers defense gets a pick 6 on the very first play of the game. They would go on to rack up 24 points with 6 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, an interception, and 2 touchdowns, also scoring the $10 payout for most defensive points. George Pickens also has a day with a huge 71-yard touchdown strike from Kenny Pickett. Sanders and Harris were simply non-factors, as this becomes the biggest comeback of the year. Watt Steel Reserve RU Pickens now sits in first with 141-128 win over Raw Doggin. Well, that's all for today. Tune into next week for stats, highlights, and more with Pigskin Postweek.